We're going to be highlighting an event, a time in my life. I'm going to tell you the story about how I was brutally, unjustly, and unfairly fired, but how that literally was the one thing that I needed to lead me to what I couldn't even imagine would happen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you will have things that fall apart because something even better is coming together. So sit back, chill for a minute, and listen to this story of how I went from fired to a fortune. So I was living in Atlanta. I had finally got on my feet. And after trying for over a year, I finally got into the school system where I could become a substitute teacher. Now, I loved being a substitute teacher, but I wanted to take it a step further. And that's when I decided to become a tutor. Now, for me, this was the job of all jobs. This was the job of my dreams. I had first graders, second graders, and third graders who were deficient in reading. And it was my job and responsibility to not only bring them to the level of their peers, but to have them excel even further. In my first year at my dream job, I did fantastic. They looked at the scores and they saw like, oh my goodness, her children have really excelled. So I felt real good about what I was doing. Now, let's fast forward to the second year. Life had taken a turn in my personal house, where I was in the middle of a separation that will ultimately lead to my divorce. So as you can imagine, at home, it was tense. It was a little dramatic. And like I said, things weren't going that well. So I really put my all into my work. I really put my heart and my soul into developing these children and getting them reading at their level. I had this supervisor, but she was more like what I considered a friend. You know how you get that person where y'all kick it outside of work, y'all laugh, y'all talk. She was a creative, I was a creative, so we would oftentimes talk about our dreams that we had in the creative arts, and we would do things like do photo shoots for each other and really try to help each other build our social media. So we developed a relationship outside of work, and I really thought we was cool. But remember I told you that those children's grades were really popping when they came to me? Yeah. Well, the higher ups, they begin to take notice. And as they begin to take notice, they begin to start whispering that word, promotion, promotion. And they asked my supervisor to videotape me as I'm tutoring the children. And I didn't know that this was about to happen. I just so happened to be having a really good session with my children. I would come up with all kind of ways for them to learn, all kind of games, all kind of fun, little music and rhymes. So we're playing a game, and here she comes in with the camera. And when she comes in with the camera, she's videotaping. She sends it to the higher ups. And they said, you're going to get promoted. So they told me they're going to take me through this training. You're about to get promoted. We're going to have you in this class and you're going to take that class. And they were going to give me my own school and I was going to be the supervisor. So instead of me going to the class teaching the kids, I would have a group of tutors and I would send them, okay, you going to this class, you going to do this, you doing that, bring me your paperwork, bring me that. Okay, so I was going to be that person. It was the same position as the supervisor, right, who was supposed to be my friend. Until the higher up started to talk about the promotion, which was basically her job. But it was at a different school. So the energy began to shift, and like I said, I was going through some personal things in my life. So maybe my energy started to shift as well. Because on top of me being separated and going through things at home, I get an unfortunate phone call that my grandma passed away. So now here I am. I got to book a flight. I'm going home. I'm back in the Chi. I'm with my family. I'm mourning my loss. And I got the job. I got the supervisor calling me like, hey, you need to either come to work or you need to find another substitute to take your position. And so I'm irritated at the time. I'm going through my thing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing it. And I let her know, this is someone who I thought was my friend. I'm not doing it, friend. And so I left it at that. Come back from the funeral. And it's a Friday. I open up my emails as I'm sitting on my couch at my crib. And it's an email from my job talking about, you fired. And I'm like, huh? You got to wipe your eyes. Like, huh, am I reading what I think I'm reading? Like, how a shock wave go through your body? Like, huh? What do you mean I'm fired? Listen, y'all, I don't know to this day what she went back and told them, but whatever she told them, they didn't even feel the need to ask me my side, or is this true? They really didn't even tell me. They just said, basically it was something along the lines of, I got smart with her and I was raising my voice, and she probably told them I cussed them out or anything. I literally don't even know what she told them, but whatever it was that she told them, it was enough for them to tell me, please do not return to work on Monday. And so what did I do? In true fashion, I cussed them out. What do you mean? What did I do? I cussed them out. Yeah, I got in that email and I went off. And whatever she said I did, I probably looked guilty. I probably looked like, see, there it is, right there, exactly. We did the right thing by firing her, because look at her, she going off. And I didn't care. But wait, to add insult to injury, they tell me, they gonna email me back after I cussed them out, talking about, well, since you didn't return our equipment, we gonna take that out your last check. And so I'm mad, like I'm heated, like I'm blowing my top. So I cussed them out about that too. Like my top has been blown. And so I'm going off, I'm cussing them out. And I get an email from a separate higher up who had took me through training, the one who told me I was getting promoted, like this one, right? So she write me and she talk about, oh, I'm so sorry. We cried when we came to the decision. And I'm like, y'all cried? Really? Y'all all in the office sitting around crying because you gonna fire me and then proceed to fire me? Okay. So I wasn't trying to hear it. So I'm just, I'm going off on her. I'm like, you just told me I was getting a promotion. How you gonna flip on me like that? And woo. So I'm going off, right? I'm mad. So I sit on the couch, I sit back, and I'm like in a daze, man. I'm in a daze. Like I had never in my entire life been fired. And so I'm sitting there in a daze. And you know how in the movies, like the people sit on the couch and then like in the background, it's a window and you can see that it's going from night to day and then night to day. And it's signifying that it's just days passing. This person's just in the same position. This is how I was. And so I'm sitting there, and finally, I don't know, a few days later, I was like, listen, I can't just sit around like this. I got to get up and go get some money. So I'm looking around the crib and I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do? Part of me is still mad, but the other part is really excited. Like, if I'm forced to do something different, then I got to do something different. So I'm looking around the crib and I see like clothes and shoes and, stuff that I haven't worn in a long time, stuff that I haven't used in a long time, little appliances and little electronics and all this, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to gather up all of this stuff. And I'm going to go down to a flea market and I'm going to, make it do what it do. Get a little fast cash, something, So I do that. Get all the stuff, gather up everything that I can find. And I go to the flea market. And by the end of the day, I had made like $200 cash money, just that quick. And so I'm like, that was pretty decent. The next day, I go back. I do the same thing. I made about another $200 cash. And so I'm like, The following weekend, I'm like, okay, I'm going to run it back. I'm going to do it again. But this time I'm going to go to a different flea market, one that I've never been to before, right? And I'm going to go on a Friday. So I go there, and ladies and gentlemen, this is where like faith comes in. This is where the serendipity of life comes in. This is where synchronicities happen at their finest, right? You take that leap of faith, you decide to do something different, and life be like, okay, cool. I'm going to match you. So I get to this flea market, right? Set up. I'm not even there 30 minutes, y'all. Here come this man, older gentleman. He's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, he making small talk. How long you been doing this? Do you like it? Da, da, da. And finally he says, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. He like, because and he pointed to his skin complexion like this. He was like, we don't tell each other nothing. So I'm going to tell you something. So I'm like, okay. He's like, there's this warehouse about 45 minutes away from here. And the man inside has to get rid of all of his inventory because he has a huge shipment coming from overseas. Now, in order for him to have the space to receive this shipment, he has to get rid of everything that's already in his warehouse. Warehouse probably like 10,000 square feet. He like, the gag is, in order to get rid of everything, he got everything marked at 50 cents. He like hats, clothes, shoes, jewelry, paper, pencils, utensils, whatever it is, appliances, electronics, whatever it is. He was like, you can go up there, you could rack up and make a lot of cash, make a lot of money. So I'm excited at what he's saying. Now, as he's saying this, I'm breaking my stuff down, putting it back in the cart, really, really listening like I'm finna go exactly where he said. If this is true, I just hit a lick. So he didn't have no directions. He was just like, you're going to get on the expressway. You're going to drive about 45 minutes. You're going to get off on the exit where you see a tree. And then you're going to make a left at the AutoZone, then make a right in the field and then this and then that. And I'm just like, But see, the way my mind's set up, even though he didn't have an address, even though he didn't have like street names and stuff, my mind is driving as he's telling me you're going to make a left here and then you see AutoZone. And I'm imagining, hoping and praying like, Lord, please let this be true. Man, 45 minutes later, kid you not, pure intuition. I'm at this warehouse and he was not lying. This warehouse had everything: electronics, stationery, pens, paper, makeup, pharmaceuticals, like whatever it was. He had it. He had it. Clothes with tags still on them, like everything you needed to start a little store. He had it. 50 cents. So of course I racked up. Next day, it's Saturday. I'm like, okay, let's get it. We going back to the one where I made $200 a day that past weekend. So I pull up, y'all. I could not even get all the stuff out of the car before people started coming to buy stuff. So that day I made about $400 cash. I come back on the Sunday. And on a Sunday, I made about $450 cash. So I'm doing the math like, hold up. So I put the money together. Okay, so that's $850 in 2 days. Watch this. When I was working my dream job as a tutor, I was making about $816 every 2 weeks. And in 2 days, I just made $850. And with one job, I'm really like giving it my all. I'm like, I really got to use my brain space to make these kids learn. And in this position, I'm having fun. It's laid back. It's chill. I'm my own boss. And I made way more money. I was just like, okay, yeah, we're going to keep that moving for a minute to see if we could really make some shake. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now, watch this. Now, here go a curveball I know you ain't see coming. Did I tell you I was a single mom while all of this is happening? Now, my daughter caught the bug because now we done racked up. We got a tent. Now we got extra tables and stuff. So she want to get involved. So we go to Walmart. We buy this big old bag of candy. And then she get home and she break it down to little smaller bags where she make them for $1. And then she got other like, Sour Patch Kids and the Skittles in the bag. She make them a certain price. So one day we go to the flea market. She set up her table. This little girl went off. Okay. So I'm making money right here. She making money at her table. I must have got real busy because by the time I turned around and looked at her little pockets was stuck out. It was money crawling out of her pockets, but her little pockets were so fat. So, I had to cash her out but she made money. So I'm making money. She making money. Now watch this. The whole time I was substitute teaching and I was a tutor, I was driving this car, but the back window had got busted out and I could not afford to get it replaced. So for about a whole year, I just rode around with a busted out back window. But when I started doing the flea markets, all of a sudden I had enough to go and put something down for a nice new car. So that's what I did. So now I'm able to ride in a new car. I'm working for myself. I'm having fun, right? Okay, watch this. Now, as I'm going to this warehouse and I'm getting all of this different, product, I started looking at it on eBay, realizing that the money I'm making at the flea market, that's cool. That's a good little profit. But on eBay, I could triple and quadruple the prices based on the market, like looking at other products and comparing them. Like, okay, you paying this much for that? Okay, cool. So then I got on the eBay lick. Now, back during this time, eBay was the number three website in the whole world. Okay, so boom, I'm killing it on eBay. And then boom, I'm getting the cash money in the actual flea market. And my daughter's getting money. Now, watch this. Remember I told you that I got a new car? So I'm thinking to myself, okay, self, if you're doing the flea markets on the weekend, you got the stuff on eBay where that's kind of just, it's money coming in. You ain't really got to do anything right now other than ship, right? You got a new car. Why don't you get out on these rideshare apps? So boom, I start doing the rideshare apps. During the day, my daughter at school, I got all this time. Boom. Not to mention, I'm a creative. So my mind is open up to all of the creative things that I wanted to do, music, movies. I want to write this. I want to do that. And now I had not just the time, I had the brain space, I had the energy, I had the excitement of life, and so that happened. Now, on this particular day, this is how I knew I'm done. Like I'm not looking for work ever again. Okay. Unless it's something fun and creative and I really want to do it. This was my magic day. I go to the flea market and I got my stuff set up and it's just like a dream. All of a sudden, it was something in the wind and it swooped everybody to my tent at the same time. And this is like never seen, unheard of at this flea market for it to be like 30, 40 people in one vendor. Like my tent is not that big. Okay. So I got all these people under my tent. And I'm just looking around. I'm just like, oh my God. Now, when I got to the flea market that day, do y'all know those really flat purses? Okay, so I put one of them around me and I got it in. The people are coming and they grabbing stuff and y'all, they formed a line. And I'm like, oh my God, I ain't never had no line before. So the people are in a line and I'm looking like, oh my God, all of these people are standing in line to give me cash money. And it's so full and I got so much static going on around me and it's just like a dream again. So like everybody moving in slow motion, right? And I so happen to look up and I'm looking at the other vendors and it's like a ghost town around except for my booth. He looking at me, she looking at me, he, the whole market. They all looking at me in wonderment and amazement. I'm like, wow. And then I look down and you know how I said I started off with a really flat purse? Y'all, why was it like the size of a basketball? And I'm like, oh my God. So finally, when I was able to manage and control all of that, because you can imagine how my heart was beating so fast. And it's just like, okay, hold on, just relax and make sure you keep everything organized because I want that money. I want each and every single person in this line to give me their money, right? So I got to keep my cool and my composure. So I'm getting the money and then I finally got a moment to breathe. Took care of everybody. Now I can breathe. And I sit in the car and it's the middle of the day. It's not even the end of the day. And I'm counting out and it's about, 8:50. And I'm just like, this is in one day and I'm not even done yet. Like this is one day. And it took me 2 weeks when I was working. I'm like, dude, nah, I can't work no more. I gotta do this. Right now. After all of that, I sustained myself. I was able to do all of that. Of course, money begets money. And once you learn how to make money in one way, you realize, oh, there's a million other ways to make money. So then, I joined off into various ventures after that, of course, where I'm not even doing any of those things anymore because, like I said, you're going to find different ways to make money. You're going to graduate, okay? But see, this is the thing. As I was learning and growing and having this amazing miracle happen to me. Okay, because that was the last job, my tutoring job. God must have said, this your favorite thing that you wanted to do. I'm going to give you your dream job and then I'm going to take it away and I'm going to turn you into a boss because that's what I really need you to do on this earth, right? But a year goes by, everything is going good, beautiful. Next thing you know, I get an alert on my phone from Facebook talking about you got a message. And I'm like, I got a message. Who this from? I open it up, y'all. It say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And it's going on and it's long. It's a long message. So I'm reading all of it. I'm trying, who is this? And why are you sorry? And oh my God. You're the one that got me fired. Like, girl, come on. I forgot all about you. I forgot all about you. Seriously, you over there talking, I'm crying, I'm sorry. Like, girl, I forgave and forgot, like, literally. And I didn't tell her that. I just was like, oh, I forgive you. You know, it's all good. God working mysterious ways, something like that. Like, I gave her a real heartfelt, seriously, I should be thanking you. Like, if only you knew what you did, girl, bye. Like, yeah. So she had learned to apologize. And that's something that I learned throughout this thing, too. It's like when people do you wrong, you can go to sleep, slob, have a good old dream, because something literally is going to work in your favor. Okay. Especially when people lie on you. That's not something that I learned just from this one event in my life. This is something that I've learned throughout multiple events in my life. When you lie, that comes back to bite you in the butt. But when people lie on you, it's literally setting you up for a huge reward. Okay. If I could go back and tell myself in that moment where I'm sitting on the couch and I'm in a daze and I'm cussing everybody out because I'm so upset and so mad, if I could go back, I would just look at myself and laugh like, girl, if you only knew, this was the best thing that could have ever happened to you. Now, another thing that I learned from this entire experience and other experiences like it is that you got two choices. You could be a victim or you can be a victor. Period. I'm going through a divorce. And that was very dramatic. Okay, let me just be real. I'm going through that drama, right? My grandma passes, and on top of all of that, I lose my job. Okay, boom. I got the right to go off. I got the right to go crazy. I got the right to sit here and cry. I'm a victim. Look at me, everybody. Look at me. I'm a victim. Or maybe not. Maybe all the times that I was sitting at work and I loved my job, but do you know where my mind was? My mind was somewhere on a stage. My mind was somewhere behind a movie set. You know, my mind was somewhere in the dream world. Any downtime I got, I will pull out pen and paper and I'll be mapping out my life about how I'm finna be this. And I'm going to Hollywood and da-da-da-da. And that's all I focused my mind on. So when life said, listen, since that's what you keep thinking about, that's what you're going to have to manifest. And so in order for you to manifest being on the stage, being in front of the camera and da-da-da-da-da, we have to remove you from the place where you're not doing that. The universe is responding to my thoughts and not where my body is. So everything that did not align with where my mind was began to crumble so that I can be where my mind kept taking me. Right? I hope that makes sense. So you got a choice. You can be the victim or you can be the victor. And so I decided to look at it in that sense, like, well, maybe this is life trying to tell me I have to do something else. If I want to be in entertainment, I can't keep sitting here in the education field. I love the education field, but if I keep imagining being over there, then that's where I have to go. Now, another thing I learned through this situation and many other situations before it and after it is a truth that I do not like to accept, or it took me a long time to just accept it. I love to look at people like, you know, they never do that. They never be like that. They never try that. But one thing about it is jealousy is real. You could think you're not doing something, or you can think people are proud of you or happy for you. But when they see you about to get to that position, when you're going to become their equal, then it does shift energy sometimes. Not with everybody, but naively for me, I used to think it was nobody. Okay. So in this situation, it was real. And what I saw was the same person who could like bring you up is the same person who can bring you down. This person was the one taking the videos. The higher ups had to go through her in order to know what I was doing and how I was doing. But it was also through that very same channel that they learned what I was doing, whether it was true or not. And so, you know, that's a truth that maybe sometimes we don't want to accept, or we don't want to look at people like that, like this person might end up betraying me. But, you know, sometimes even the people that you get the closest to be the ones who, you know, will sell you out or will do you dirty. But again, when you get done dirty, it doesn't work out in the long run. Now, I ain't saying this is for everybody's case, but I know specifically for me that when I got done wrong, there was always I bet you wish you didn't do that afterwards type thing, not to rub it in nobody's face, not to try to bring anybody down, but truth being told, you wish you didn't do that. Okay. So, it is what it is. So ladies and gentlemen, this is just another one of those things to help encourage you and help you to understand that sometimes your breakthrough comes after the breakdown. And sometimes life is literally trying to give you what you're wishing for, what you're thinking for. And if you can just recognize these breakdowns as breakthroughs, then it might help you to transition a little bit easier. Okay. The creative spirit that I had, I'm sorry to say, I know people ain't gonna like this, but I'm gonna say it did not fit in that type of marriage. So the universe said, okay, boom, remove that, because that's not going to be an alignment for you to do entertainment. You can't be married to that person and be in that field. It's not going to work. Remove. Okay. Then, my grandma passed, and that was really like, traumatic, and it was sad. But I went home, I got with my family. I hadn't been home in a long time. I got to get that kind of love and get that kind of energy, which is something that I needed to put me in a different headspace. And then of course, getting fired. This is the big kahutas. Like, the job is in the way. You can't do your dream. You ain't got the energy. You got all this going on. And when all of that was removed, I felt like I had to start at square one, but sometimes starting over at square one is better than being in the middle of the mess that you was in. Okay. So, that's what I get, you guys. I hope you were encouraged and inspired to understand what's going on out here and to look at your life and realize we ain't all got it together. All of us ain't perfect. We don't come from the perfect background. This dream journey is brutal, but it is absolutely worth it. So I'll see y'all in the next video.